Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Harakiri, the Blades of Honor. We're moving into the exploration phase. Before we do, if you watch the adventure phase, there's a couple things I do want to mention going forward into this one that I made a mistake in there, and you may have saw them in the Klingon subtitles or even in the pinned comments. One is at the time of this recording, I did mention the Gamefound page was active. It is actually in a preview stage right now. So if you did go to it and wondering why you couldn't back it, that's because it's in the preview stage. That was my fault. I misinformed you. I apologize for that. Also, at the end of the video, I wasn't sure how to get to story moment 43. But as you can see in the beginning of the adventure, it tells us that this is going to be a total of 5 rounds, and the end phase trigger is those 5 rounds. I just didn't quite understand it. That was my fault. That is how you go to 43. So once those 5 rounds are done, you would read 43 and figure out how your ending is. Now, there's going to be no change here. We actually did well. We actually made it through that completely. We got all the missions accomplished, and we are going to be moving into the exploration phase. One final note is I did reach out to Synergetic Games and I was wondering how to get to that mission 7. There is a misprint in the book that is going to be completely redone here for an errata. The number 7 should have been up here. This particular mission 1 should have been down here. So they are redoing that and putting a new picture out for this particular mission. Just know that that is why we couldn't find mission 7. Just like in our previous video, we are going to go through a setup and then we are going to dig into the exploration phase and see if we can complete this mission and make it through. And if you're excited to see if our characters can do it, then I need you to meet me at the table. After some time, the news they had been waiting for finally arrived. The characters were led by the insurgents to a village lost in the mountains, where they met a vulnerable old man. And here is the story of the encounter. "Welcome to my home," exclaimed the man, after welcoming them in a beautiful garden with a crystal clear stream flowing through it. "My name is Shinjin, and it is a real pleasure to welcome you to my home. I am very grateful for all you have done for my people and for the help you have given us against the hordes of the Shogun. That is why I'm happy to give you good news at last, although I'm afraid it also has its downside, unfortunately. The spy you are looking for has been captured and is being held in the castle on the island of Owaji, a very protected fortress." "Thank you very much for the information," says Tomoe. "We must leave immediately." "Yes, you must," says Shinjin again, "but it will not be easy for you to reach the island, which is not accessible by boat." "What can we do then?" Hakuro asks, and immediately received an answer from his host. "You will travel to Osaka, and there you will look for the Hideyoshi family of fishermen, whom you will deliver a letter that I will write. They are part of the resistance, and some of the members owe me their lives, and they will help you reach the island." And so, with a new goal in mind, the 4 of them left the village and set out on the long journey to the city of Osaka, carrying with them the letter that Shinjin had written. Once again, they did not know what fate had in store for them. It was dawn in Japan when the 4 companions finally walked through the part of Osaka. Their goal was to reach the island of Owaji as soon as possible, and so they were looking for the Hideyoshi family. "I have found them," says Hitori, approaching the group. "Let's give them Shinjin's letter." As the old man had assured them in the mountain village, the Hideyoshi responded positively to his request, and they immediately set out to serve the group. "We'll try to reach the island in a small fishing boat. That is the best way to try. Let's go," said the head of the family, called Noriyori. Following the skilled fishermen, they all climbed aboard the ship, which soon left the harbor behind. The sun was shining brightly overhead, and the sea was calm in the bay. But that had changed halfway through the journey. Slowly, the sky clouded over, and the wind began to pick up, leading to an incredible storm as they neared the shores of Awaji, which were clearly visible in the distance. By then, a nightmare had unfolded all around them. The waves shook the boat like a rag doll in the hands of a child, and the cyclone swelled the ship's only sail, threatening to tear it apart. Fearing that the ship would sink before reaching its destination, the four were clinging to the ship's gunwale, when suddenly they heard a scream of terror from one of the soldiers who was trying to keep the vessel afloat. Unfortunately for the group, a huge wave capsized the ship, and they all fell into the water amidst the maelstrom of screams, foam, and terrible tossing. When they set foot on dry land again in the late afternoon, they thanked the gods for the help they had been given. Death had undoubtedly come to meet them, but they had dodged it. Although the fury of the storm had sunk the boat, it had allowed them to pass unnoticed and to reach their destination undetected. "We have been very lucky," says Tomoe, "but that may change at any moment. At least we are finally on the island of Awaji, although we don't know where exactly we must get off this cliff." The samurai was correct. Contrary to a quiet beach, they were on a rocky terrain, dangerously lashed by the fury of the waves, at the base of a steep cliff that towered over their heads. "Look, there is a cave," says Hattori, pointing to one hand. "Perhaps it will lead us out of here. I don't see any better option." Following that idea, the four of them headed for the nearby grotto, and finally got out of the wind and the rain. After resting for a few minutes in the cave and advancing through the shadows, the four emerged from another opening. They were in a much more favorable terrain, and from here they saw some lights, toward which they directed their steps. "It looks like a village," Hakura exclaimed, pointing to the ghostly silhouettes of the humble building that could be distinguished in the fog. Although by then the rain had stopped, a thick mist did not bode well. The mist made everything around them truly sinister. The total immersion of the darkness was intimidating. With only some light shining from the village to show them the way, they kept moving forward to locate the spy that they needed to free. "I don't like it at all," says Akira, suddenly breaking the tense silence that had bothered him. "I feel something strange in the atmosphere, something unhealthy that I don't know how to explain. Take extra precautions." It didn't take them long to reach the village, where they were huddled in terror. The temperature dropped precipitously, and they were suddenly surrounded by dense fog, which barely allowed them to see a few meters ahead. Nevertheless, they could see that they were in a terrifying place. A small deserted village illuminated by sinister lanterns. "Someone's coming. There," says the ninja, pointing into the mist, just before the ominous squawk of some kind of bird could be heard over their heads. "It looks like a woman," who immediately ran to address the stranger. This person was hulking, hunched over, looking down at the ground, her face hidden under her dark hair. "Excuse me," Hakura said. "We need help." "What are you looking for here?" "But it doesn't matter, because you won't find it," the mysterious lady answered in a hoarse voice that did not seem to come from her body. From that instant, the events rushed forward as the woman stood upright, stretching out both arms under a tattered and bloodied kimono. Her hair was now fluttering violently, shaking by a wind that had sprung up around her as the Onorio revealed its true identity, that it was actually a vengeful ghost. To the despair of the four companions, they had arrived at a cursed village under the sway of the dangerous spirit that had now confronted them, screaming in a chilling manner. It was time to defend themselves. The first thing we're going to do to set up our exploration phase is bring our characters back. Here is Hattori. He's a little bit different than when he left his adventure phase. The game itself, the big difference here is the game situation does tell me to put the affinity for all of our kami cards at 6. I think that'd be kind of cool that it does that. It gives us a chance to show off kind of maybe what these kami powers do if I want to use them to kami mode. The other thing is, you notice I do have an extra action point. You don't get 4 actions in this. You actually have 4 because there's a chance that in this adventure or exploration phase, unlike the adventure phase, you can carry an action over. So in that case, then that would be able to flip over when you go to choose your actions. The other thing you notice, we now have key dice, which are going to be inserted into our skills as we progress through the exploration phase. All of our stats and everything that we had going from the last adventure phase into the exploration phase does usually carry over into this phase. The only difference is when you go between those phases, you do get a chance to do a complete refit if you want to. You can share anything you want amongst all the characters, but do remember you do have to have knowledge in order to hold and use, or at least be able to use the items that you are given. So I switched up some of the items from some of our characters, so there might be some that some people had that they don't anymore and others do. So just keep that in mind. The other thing I do want to mention is in the last video, I'd been putting cubes into all the slots that could then eventually power up. So if I had 3 stealth, I'd put it like that. That's an error. You only need to be moving the cubes up and down these tracks. You don't have to be filling all the tracks from the one behind it. So in all of our characters, we're just anyone that had more than 1 in something, I've removed those other cubes so that they are set up the way they're supposed to be set up. Now this game does do a really good job of, if you play the adventure phase and don't have time for the exploration phase, they do have these awesome save things. You can put your character into here, and even with the dice and everything, they all sit in here along with this area right here, and it saves it very well. So then when you come out and again, you just have to open this up and put your character out and he's all set to go. There's even slots to put all the different cards that you have and anything else you've gained. Like you've noticed their tokens are in here. Now when you do set this up, you also want to bring back some things that I don't have here. One of them is the not the market deck, but your blacksmith deck. It tells you to bring that out. Also these clan tokens and things like that, you'll want those as well. But since we're doing just this one-off scenario, I'm not sure a lot of that's going to play into effect. If it does, then I'll bring those out. But for now, I'm not going to have anything more than what I need for this exploration phase. At least I feel like I'm going to need for the adventure phase or exploration phase. Now, the one thing I do have to do before we go on, I am going to remove these action points. Actually, I'm going to put them over here. I'm not, unless I get other skills, I'm just going to place all my action tokens up here. That one is the one I'm not going to be using. Now, before we move on to the rest of the phase, you do take your key dice, you roll them up, and you put them into your active area, which is going to be right here. So we got a 4, a 6, and a 2. Those are our key dice that we're going to be able to use during for the beginning of this adventure, and you'll see how they interact as they go through it. I think it's a really cool mechanic, and I'm excited to show it off. Now, I'm sure you figured out the key dice are going to slot into here, and they're going to be part of the action sequence that we go to when it comes to our characters. But you, of course, can only slot in dice where they're going to be able to be used. For example, if you notice this one up here has a 4, that means I couldn't put the 2 up there. Well, I could, but it's not going to be able to be activated unless it is a value. The key dice in here has a value of 4 or more. And same with sneaky, it needs to have a 3 or more. If the die is not in, if the die is not at that power, or it's less than that power, you can't use it. You can't use the skill. The other cool thing about this is as you play through this, these dice are going to tick down, but they're only going to tick down if they're in active areas. So if you have a skill, let's say this skill, instead of perform 2, the quick attacks by spending 2 of your action points, say it said something like heal yourself 3. If my character hasn't taken any damage, there's no reason to place that cube here, or this die, I'm sorry. But when the character does start taking damage, then by all means, that would be a great time to place that die over here and begin using that skill, because at the end of each round, these are going to tick down and you'll see how that goes. And of course, once it falls below that number, again, you can't use it until the dice is exhausted. Then once they're exhausted, they're going to go into an exhausted pool. Once all the key dice are in an exhausted pool, you can then roll them back into your active area and start using them again. Of course, there are going to be actions you can do during your turn to be able to manipulate these dice and move them around if you wish to use actual action points to do it. Some you can do free, and some you actually have to spend the actions. And of course, you'll see how that works during the game. I'm just really excited about this system. I think it's a really cool way of being able to use these abilities over here, but not have them always active. It's a cool system where you have to kind of balance this flow of ki. Now, with that being said, here's Tomoe. I'm just going to roll her dice in here as well. She got a lot of 3s and 2s. That's not really going to help me too much because I need a 4 here to activate that one. So she's going to be activating that anytime soon. Also, you can choose which weapon you want to go into the area with and when you start the exploration phase. But once you start the exploration phase, to swap weapons is going to cost you an action. So you might want to make sure you have exactly what you think you might need for this thing ready to go. I'm going to put her bow on, and mainly I'm going to put it on because of course, her military discipline. Weapon change does not cost you any action points. So for her, it doesn't really matter which one is equipped and not equipped, which I think is pretty awesome. She did get some different items than I think she had before. She has the spectral potion, and I gave her the shurikens. So we'll see if she can use those to a really good, well, they were already used really well so far. Let's see if she can continue that. We'll roll his dice as well, so that they'll be all set for this. We got a 6, a 5, and a 1. Wow, that 1's going to be not good, but the 6 and 5 are pretty good. Love those numbers. And lastly, we have this character here. We'll roll his dice in 5, 3, and 1 as well. Wow. Lots of ones and high numbers and low numbers. That's pretty funny. Here are some of the rules for this adventure. We have to find a way to reach the fortress after clearing the village of enemies. We start at level 3, just like we did in our adventure phase, but our affinity level is now going to be 6. We're allowed to have 1 available weapon per character and 1 armor per character. I know I do have 2 on Tomoe, but I'd like her to have both those weapons. It also says we have 100 gold. I'm not, or money. I'm not giving anybody any money unless there's something I have to do that actually uses the money, but I don't think in the exploration phase I would think I'd need it, but we'll see how it plays out, and if I do need it, I'll bring it out. But what I want to do is, I know this is a standalone scenario, but this particular standalone scenario is just a standalone scenario, but it kind of carries over from the adventure phase. This doesn't feel like it carries over from the adventure phase. This feels like as if you were to just play this exploration phase. And I don't want to. I want to play it like it would be one full scenario, adventure phase and exploration phase, which is why I'm allowing myself to bring all the items I was able to accumulate and weapons and things of that nature all over to this area. Now, of course, I'm also bringing over any things that I'd gotten hurt from and things of that nature, but I think we made it through that last adventure without taking any damage, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to continue going. I'll show you the rest of what this is, but I know that I'm kind of breaking some of these rules, but that's because I want to make it feel like this is a full one single scenario. It does say malice is cumulative, and based on how we did in that adventure phase, like I said, I want to make it feel like this, then you're going to be using a certain type of oracle deck. The oracle deck is going to have an effect on how the enemies perform in battle, or what they're going to actually even do in battle. And you'll see how that works during the playthrough. But we have, this one's going to start with 3 green ones and 2 red ones. The green ones are usually a safer activation for the monsters, where the red ones become more aggressive. Most of the time. That's not all the time. There's also some marks that we may gain or maybe have carried over from our adventure phase, and that could be true from all the other missions you do. This particular one, we didn't carry anything over, so these might have to do with what's going to happen inside this exploration phase. There's 3 parts of this board that are all going to work together, and that's these cards, this malice board, and these 2 envelopes right here. So as you play through the game, at the beginning of the round, you're going to draw one of your oracle cards. Based on which oracle card you draw, may it be a green or a red, you're going to move up this card inside this envelope. Now, I will mention one thing is these don't fit sleeve cards at all. You cannot have a sleeve card fit in here. It will not fit in here. So you do have to unsleeve these cards in order to put them into these particular things, if you do sleeve all your cards, like as you see I do. So I do know that they don't fit. I tried. But when you draw one of the cards, you're going to reveal some part of an event that's going to happen. Now, of course, the red ones are going to activate these. The green ones are going to activate these. You also may have a purple card. A purple card is activated by both green and red, so no matter which one you draw, you'll activate that. If at any point you draw one of the cards and it doesn't have a next event inside this little card here, and you'll see how those work in just a second, then you're going to start moving up this malice track. Every time you move the malice track up, nothing happens unless there's something in the story that talks about it. But if this were to ever reach 6, you have an auto fail of the mission. So you can't, it basically prevents you from just staying in one area over and over. You need to keep moving. You need to keep pushing forward. You need to try to get this done because you need to get to the end of that adventure. So these 3 things kind of all work together. Now, what you see down here, these are going to be the order of activation for our characters and our enemies. When it comes time, we're going to take all of these cards and we're going to shuffle them up. We're going to give them a good old truffle shuffle here, and then we'll put them out one by one to determine the order of our not only our characters but also the enemy. Once those are laid out, there could be things that may manipulate the order in which these these are going to activate. But we'll do that when it tells us to at the beginning of the setup here. There's a few more things I want to talk about. And that is the board itself. We do have each board is different. We have our characters are supposed to start down here. Of course, I could put them in any order I want to. I chose that order. These are going to be things that you can interact with. And very similar to our adventure phase, it's going to cost us an action to interact with it. And then we'll read our story moment to find out what happens. These are our two enemies that we're going to have to deal with. These are spawn points. There may be enemies coming out there, or you may be told to put things on top of here. Maybe it'll say like, okay, you searched A goes over here. In order to continue, you need to search A again over here. It could say something like that. Or it'll tell you to put even a different token out there. Like if you search A, it'll say like, okay, put L over on green. And so you have another point you have to deal with. Or if one of these cards, as you're moving it up, might say spawn one of these enemies on red. So you spawn it on red. So there's many different things that these spawn points can do. It's not just always going to be enemies. You're seeing different colored lined areas on this map. The red is impassable terrain. You cannot pass through it. Yellows are considered obstacles. People that fly, they can go over these, but everybody else does have to move around these. And when it comes to moving, you can move diagonal whenever you want to, unless it's going to be going past an impassable or a obstacle if you don't have flying. Also, your enemies are always considered obstacles. So we're obstacles to them and they're obstacles to us. So if I were to want to run past this character, I would have to move 1, 2, 3, 4 around it. I could not pass diagonal past it because it is considered still an obstacle. Same with the impassable terrain. If I wanted to move past this, it would be 1, 2, 3. I would have to move like that. I could not move diagonal. But every clear area, we could keep on moving diagonal as much as we want. There we go. I think that's all I need to talk about when it comes to the way you move on these boards and how to interact with them. We do have our enemy, and we'll talk about the enemy when it comes to their turn. So that's pretty much the setup. I think I'm all set to take these guys on. Let's see if we can do it. At the beginning of the exploration phase, we'll start with our first two things here. One is going to reveal one of those oracle cards. Then we'll, like I said, we'll also activate the event that goes along with it. Of course, if there isn't any, we'll be adding to the malice track. Then we'll determine our initiative. Now, the initiative is really cool because not only do you just draw out the cards, you also, like I said, can manipulate them. So, for example, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take effect from exploration event cards. Could potentially manipulate this deck, the initiative deck. Next, we're going to check to see about our character skills. They also might have an impact. And then we'll check the enemy skills. And finally, the cool thing about this is you can swap two characters. So if you had somebody that absolutely had to go before everybody else, you have that option of swapping two characters. Of course, if you're playing with 4 players, you do kind of have to discuss it and decide if it's advantageous for certain people to go or what is going to happen and what plans people have. I think that's a really cool thing. So it gives you a good chance of discussing a whole round of strategy and tactics before you move into the actual rolling of dice and moving around. So just like it says, we'll take our oracle cards, give them a good old truffle shuffle here, and we'll just give them a little more truffles, and then we'll flip over our card. We have a green card, so we're going to look at our events that are green, and we're going to flip up the top one and take a look. It says right here, a farmer, seeing that his village is being helped, throws an object to the characters. I'm going to place H next to D. So we'll place our token right there. It just said next to D. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Then we're going to take our initiative. We're going to give our initiative deck a good old truffle shuffle here, and we're going to deal out these cards as well. Hopefully it will go well for our team. Let's see how it goes. Oh, we got Tomoe first. That's awesome. We got evil witch. We got evil witch. We got 2 evil witches. Oh no, that's no good. Okay. The bad guys are going to go almost before my entire group. That's me. All right. At this point, like I said, we can manipulate this if we want to. So the first thing we can do is we have to check our exploration event cards. There wasn't anything that's going to change anything. Then we can use our character skills. The only person I believe that has a character skill that's going to interact with this initiative track is going to be our Ronin. He's got 6th sense. At the start of the round, modify your initiative by 1 position. And now, of course, that is optional. I do not have to do it, but why not? Let's do it. He's going to trade places here. Now, at this point, we can decide if there's someone. Now, Tomoe is the only person going first. Do we want her to go first, or is there somebody that could probably have a better chance of doing something for us at the start of the turn before both of these enemies go? I don't think I'm going to change anybody. I think we're going to be okay. Well, I'm kind of, well, actually more, I'm not exactly sure we're going to be okay. I'm kind of worried about these people going right after our first character. But let's see how this all transpires. Our characters have multiple things they can do, just like during our adventure phase. Of course, the first thing is they can move. Their movement is exactly like the adventure phase, except for one difference. You're going to use one action point to be able to move equal to your movement value plus stealth. The difference here is going to be that if you spend another one, instead of only gaining one movement point, you actually gain another 3 movement points, which is kind of nice. Now, of course, here it does talk about all the different terrain and everything that I've already explained. Next, we can do and activate a skill. If you have a die in your skill that meets the requirement, you can use an action point to use that skill. Now, these are passive. These are going to cost 0, but our technique ones are going to cost us 1 action point to use. And they can be used for quick and 2 for the more heavy attack. Some skills may have, of course, some higher requirements. I don't think I have any of those. This is one you can do. You can spend 2 action points to select a key dice you wish to reroll and reroll them and place them in your reserve. This is a way to be able to get those key dice to be able to do what you want to, which is a cool thing. Next, we have attack. We can also attack, and I'll explain that one. That's super long, and there's a lot going on in the attack step, and I'll show that while we actually make that action. I guarantee you we are going to be attacking. There's 2 more actions. One, I can use an item. I can spend 1 action to use one from my inventory. The same item cannot be used more than once per activation, though. Also, I can interact. I can interact with any of the points that you see out there in the campaign book will describe what to do next. Spawn points cannot be interacted with. The corresponding section of the campaign book will tell you what the effects are and how to apply. Like I said, there's multiple ways these spawn points can be used, but you can't really interact with them unless the story tells you to. Now, on top of the ones that you have to spend action points for, there are some free actions that you're allowed to do. Oh, my mistake. There is one more action. When you have your kami card. Oh, let me show you the kami card. This is super cool. So just like in the adventure phase, your kami card does have an affinity, and where it's based, where this particular cube is going to be the powers it's going to give you. Right now, of course, all our characters have access to everything. This level 3 power right here, if you'll notice, this one says Beast Friend, double the amount of damage caused by an attack, including all modifiers before applying its effect. So the way that works is when I make an attack action, or when I use one of my action points or 2 to make an attack, I can choose to activate any one power that goes along that has this particular symbol. Now, the kami cards are a little bit different because they can only be used once per exploration phase. So even though this seems super good and super ridiculous, you can only do it once per exploration phase. The kami mode, on the other hand, is a mode that you can enter if you're at half health or less. Once you enter that mode, you're only able to be in it for the round you do it and the next round, and after that you're dead. No matter how much health you have left, you will have died. It's kind of like a cool way of unleashing all of your key points and all of your inner strength that you've learned through all of the adventures and masteries that you have, and just exploiting all of that and going into a rage or into a focused, determined killing spree. But once, of course, that ends, you don't have the vitality to keep yourself alive, and you've fallen in battle, but you've done everything you can to hopefully give your group a winning edge. So that kami card is a super cool thing, and it's really got some powerful things going on. There are some free actions that you can do. You can place key dice. You can move as many key dice as you wish from your reserve to any of your available skills if they meet the requirement. You can also withdraw key dice. Now, you can only do this if you have spirit, in that skill of spirit, and for every point you can move a key dice from active to exhausted. If you don't have any, you can't move them. You have to spend those action points, or just wait till all of them tick down to nothing and they all go into your exhausted pile. Then you can re-roll them and start using them again. So it's interesting what skills are cool to have and what they help with. Of course, the strength one helps you with doing damage and surviving attacks. The stealth one helps you move. The knowledge one helps you in the ability to gain and use items. But of course, this one is really important when it comes to the exploration part of this game, because you can move those key dice around without having to spend activation points. Now, the other thing you can do is you can collect heads either in the square you are or adjacent to it, and you can do any of these free actions at any time. So I could, again, just like in the adventure phase, I could move like 2 spaces and then collect a head and then keep on moving. And of course, one of the other ones is you can activate that Kami mode that I've already talked about. Tomoe does get to go first. She is going to first, for free action, slot these key dice. I'm actually going to put this number 2 in here, even though I'm not going to be able to use it. I just don't have a need for that right now. But I'm going to put the 3 here and the other 3 here, giving me the ability to use these abilities while we play. For example, this one is allowing other characters within 2 when they make an attack to gain an extra damage. It sounds really good. And that military discipline is also awesome. Now, these are passive powers that are the ones that I have my dice and that are going to be able to be activated here. That's a 3. I'm going to knock those all over the place just the whole playthrough. The shockwave, though, is, I do need a 4 to activate it. It's not going to activate. That's totally fine. I'm going to spend 2 of my action points to take a shot with my bow. My bow does have a range of 3, but because of my military discipline, it has a range of 4. And where she is 1, 2, 3, 4. When you count range, you always count the shortest distance. Also, when it comes to line of fire, only your other obstacles and an impassable terrain are the things that are going to block it. And like I said before, you are not obstacles to your own players. So, for example, this would not block my line of sight because he is a friend. But if this were the case, I would not be able to shoot orange because green would block that. There are other factors of showing how and when things are going to be able to block your shot, and if those come up, I'll talk about them. But for where we are, we're on a pretty wide open map here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, she's just going to take that shot. Our Bow of the Sacred Mountain does give us a green, a purple, and a red when firing at a strong attack using 2 action points. Now, before you roll your dice, you can choose to use the black die if you wish to. Mainly, this is good for removing armor from enemies or things of that nature, because, of course, remember, this would help you be able to remove armor. This would go straight through armor, but that is a miss. No matter what you did would miss, and this is not only a miss, it's a counterattack, and the enemy gets a chance to fight against you. This enemy we're fighting right now does not have armor, and I'll show you their card after I take this shot so you can see a little bit more of what is going on that card. But we'll shoot it and hopefully get a pretty good number here. We got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, lucky for me, this is a black and white die, so that does activate my yin-yang symbol, so I do get to gain my reroll. So I'm going to reroll this into a 1. So we had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. If we look at the stats of our enemy over here, it shows that this enemy has 12 health, 4 speed, a range of 1 or 2, depending on, I'm guessing, what it's using to attack with. This is its normal resistance, so whenever you attack, that is always going to be active, which is why it shows not to use that the black die. This is its armor. So like I said, it has 0 armor, so it's kind of worthless to fire anything that's going to do any armor damage. I am going to do 2 damage, so I'm going to put this right up here next to that orange area, because I fought against the orange enemy. This is going to be all the different things that this enemy can do. Remember, we drew a green card, so that means when it is the enemy's turn, it's going to activate based on the green over here, as opposed to the red, because we drew the green card. This ghost does have the ability to move spectrally, and these are the extra things it's going to do based on the attack dice that it has down here that's going to roll when it is its turn. All right, that's the end of Tomoe. Oh, no, I'm lying. Tomoe's got 1 more action point, and she's going to be tricky. She's going to use that last action point to be able to activate her statuette. Her statuette is going to be able to delay 1 minion 1 position on the initiative at the end of my activation. So it's the end of my activation, so I am going to use this statue. So we'll delay this one so that I can at least have my ninja jump in before the green one goes. Now that is the end of her turn, so we will turn her card sideways to show that her activation has been completed, and we'll move into our first enemy. When activating an enemy, we're first going to roll our die, see what we get, and then look at the card and go with it. So we'll roll our die here. I got a 2. Now remember, we are in the green oracle card, so that means we're going to look at the green area here. And at this point, we're going to see what number corresponds to the die. We got a 2, so that means it's going to do 1 through 4. So the first thing we're going to do is start at the top and go down. Once it reaches a point that it can do, that's the action it's going to perform. So right here, first we see what it is attempting to attack. It's going to attack the person with the least amount of knowledge. The 2 characters with the least amount of knowledge is going to be an Hikaru. So we're going to try to attack one of them with the best of our ability. It's going to move to be adjacent and then use what is called Flash of Evil. Now, Flash of Evil is an attack power up here that is going to cause, and if it causes damage, it's going to provoke blindness. So it's going to blind our characters. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to run in there and just do damage. You're going to roll the dice, and then it's going to do this power based on how you do with this roll. So let's go see who it's going to attack, and then we'll roll its dice. Our enemy is going to use its movement to get adjacent to the person with the least amount of knowledge and attack them. So we are going to move 1, 2, 3 up to here, and that is going to put us in the ability to hit both Hattori and Hikaru. 1, 2, 3. Now the deal is, at this point, since they are both tied with 1 knowledge, it then comes down to the players to be able to break ties. So at this point, I'm actually going to have it attack Hattori. So at this point, I'm going to have it attack Hikaru. Let's see how badly our hero gets hit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 damage is coming into Hikaru. He does have armor, which is going to reduce the damage by 3, meaning he's going to take 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was not a really good start for our character. We'll take our enemy card and turn it sideways to indicate that it is done. And our next character to go is going to be Hattori. Hattori is going to use a free action to place his key dice. We're going to put the roll one there. We're going to put the slaughter one there. And we're going to put the sneaky one there. That gives us access to all of his abilities. At this point, we are going to use an activation to move. And then after that, we're probably going to attack. His movement is 3 plus 2, so it's 5. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Right up to here, and he can move through this character because he has the sneaky ability that allows his movement to go through enemies. At this point, I'm going to do something tricky. I'm going to use 2 of my activation points to attack using my slaughter ability here to perform 2 light actions. And down here, I've given him 2 of these cards so that I can activate this together. This is going to allow me, the first attack I'm going to do is add a purple die to the roll. It says you can add a purple die to an attack once per round. The second attack I'm going to do is going to allow me to add +1 damage to an attack once per round. So it gives me 2 extra bonuses here when I'm making these 2 attacks. So we're going to roll an orange, green, purple, and purple for the first attack, then an orange, green, purple, and get an extra damage for the second attack. And we're both going to go after that green enemy here. That's our plan. We'll roll these up and see how it goes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. This character does have 3 resistance, so we're only going to be able to do 2 damage with our first attack. We're going to go to our second attack now. Oh wait, I actually did an extra damage because I do have the green or the black and white yin yang symbols, meaning our tiger claws are going to do an extra point of damage. So we did 3 points of damage for the first attack. We'll roll this up to get our second attack. I'm going to remove one of the purple dice and just see what we get with our other dice here. 1, 2, 3, and I get an extra attack here for this thing here, so 4, and then of course the yin yang symbol fires off again to give me 5. So we did 2 5 damage hits. Now each attack is calculated differently, so my first 5 damage attack -3 is going to be 2, and my second 5 damage attack -3 is going to be 2, so we'll put 4 damage next to the green one. Hattori has completed his activation, so next we're going to move into this one. Now before I do that, I do have to switch these 2 characters back. He does have an ability that allows him at the start of the round to modify my initiative position, but I have not put a key die in it, so his ability is not active. They'll probably see a subtitle when I actually did it. Just know you can't activate those key powers until you actually have the key dice in there. Let's see what this character is going to do. We'll roll a die and see what the activation is. It got a 4. That again is going to be the Flask of Evil attack. So it's going to attack that character and make this character blind if it does any damage. Now I forgot to do that. I have to give him a blind token. He also was hit and should be blind. Our enemy rolls a red, purple, and 2 green. Let's see how they do. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. He only has 3 armor, so he is going to take 1 damage, and since he did take damage, he's going to gain a blindness token. They look like this. It's pretty awesome. This blindness token looks super brutal. It's pretty awesome. Now I am going to give this one over to Hikaru because he also got blinded. With that character having activated, we will turn the card sideways and move into our next character. As a free action, he is going to place his key dice. He's going to put one of them here. He's going to put another one, I think he's going to hold this one. No, actually he's going to put this one right here because he needs to heal himself really badly. Okay, we have our 3 action tokens to use. We're going to use 1 to move, and then we're going to activate an ability, and then we're going to make a quick attack. Our movement is going to take us to right here because we can go 1, 2, 3. We are then going to activate this ability, which allows me to remove 1 negative condition and to myself and those characters 1 adjacent to me. So I'm going to remove this one as well from Hitore, which is awesome. You both regain health according to the value indicated. So since it's 5, they're both going to regain 3. 1, 2, 3. That's going to put Hitore, up to his maximum health, but he still is 1 away. Now remember, you cannot heal more than your maximum health. I wonder if I want to place this die. I don't think I'm going to place this die yet, because I'm only down 1 health at this point. This would allow me to regain equal to my damage dealt, but I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal, and I can place this later and still be able to keep it. Now remember, at the end of our turn, we're going to have to tick these dice down. So once this ticks down 1, I'm going to lose the ability to do that anymore. So I'm not going to want to do this. Also notice this is a technique, so it does cost me an action point to do, which is why it leaves me with only the ability to do a light attack, which means I'll be attacking for 2 purple. This might not do much damage, but maybe it'll do something. Oh my gosh. It did a monstrous amount of damage for only 2 dice. That did 6 damage minus 3. It actually did 3 damage. That's pretty awesome. So we're up to 7 damage for this character. So I'll put a 5 and keep our 2 1s just like that. His activation is over. I'll turn his card. We're going into our last character. He is going to activate. He's going to take a move action, which allows him to move 1, 2, 3 to right here. And I do want to mention that adjacency is, of course, every space around something. So I am still adjacent to this enemy. So I'm going to attack this character as well. Hopefully we can try to take one of these characters out before it actually activates again, which would be really good. So that's one of our activations. The second one is we're going to activate one of our powers and do a big attack. Actually, I lied. I don't think we're going to do a big attack. I was going to use stab, but it ignores the target's armor, but he don't have any armor. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. So we are going to use the action point to move, and then we're going to use 2 action points, I think, to make a big attack with our Thunder Katana. I think that's going to be our best bet. Sadly, I don't think there's anything here that's going to help me. I am going to put something into 6th Sense. I think I'll put the 5 into 6th Sense so that I have the ability to use that if I want to. This I'm going to save for my defensive stance, and this one I will eventually save for stab. Maybe we can use it for something down the line, but for now, it's not going to really help us. All right, let's go ahead, make this attack using our big attack here. 2 purples and a red, or sorry, 2 greens and a red. We'll roll our dice up and see how it goes. We got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. We did not get to activate the yin yang ability because we got all black dice there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 minus 3. He only did 1 damage on his dad. That puts our enemy at 8 health, or has taken 8 damage. I apologize, which we're getting closer. This is the end of the round, so we are going to lower everybody's key dice by 1, so that's going to go to a 5. This is going to go to a 3. The 3 is here somewhere on the other side, maybe. No, where's the 3? There's the 3. And then this one's going to go down to a 1. Her dice will also lower. I was actually hoping to take advantage of this, but everybody ran away from her, but that's okay. This goes to a 2, this goes to 1, and this will drop down to a 2 as well, giving us, this one can't be used again, or could never be used, but that's okay. I'm actually trying to exhaust all these dice so we can get them into the exhausted pool and re-roll them for her. We'll tick this down to a 4 and move on to our next character. His will also tick down to a 4, and that is all of them. In the future, I'll just say that I'm ticking these down, so you don't have to sit here and watch me tick all these dice down. But if there's anything that makes a big impact being for the dice moving, I will let you know. Moving into the beginning of the round, we'll draw our next Oracle card and see what it is. We have one of the red cards. This is going to be a more dangerous villain, or more villainous attacks here. We also have to look at our red action here, or see what happens, our event. It says here, the The Anoru, let out a dreadful scream in unison, causing terror to spread through the entire village. All characters have to do a 3 test or gain 1 less activation. If I fail, oh no, that's no good. All right, we'll have to test for all of our characters. To make this test, we're supposed to roll this die, but I'm just going to roll 4 of these for our characters and call them out as we go. So we got Tomoe, we've also got Akaru, we've got Akura, and we've got Hitome here. Hitore, sorry. So Hitore and Tamu failed, so they're going to only have 2 actions this turn, but the rest of our team was able to succeed. With that completed, we'll take our initiative cards and shuffle them up again. Give them a good old truffle shuffle here and put them out on the board. And hopefully we get to go first and we don't actually die. We'll give them a shuffle. There we go. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, he's first. Actually kind of liked him to go, oh no, after the bad guys. Okay, we've got our characters. Come on, more characters, more characters. Oh, okay. All right, so our goal is to kill this thing before it activates. We're not going to be able to get this thing, but that's okay. Him going first is actually a bad thing. Now, he can choose to switch places if he wants with one character, moving up 1. And I think he's going to do that. He is going to move up 1 in place of the ninja, because then the ninja can maybe, no, I think we're going to keep it just like this. The reason why is the ninja only has 2 actions, so it'll probably just stay there and attack, where then he might be able to move and attack. I do want to switch this guy out. So now at this point, I do have the ability to swap any one character in this row, and I think I am going to swap these 2 characters. I didn't move him up, but swapping him I think is the way to go. I want to make sure that our characters are able to attack before this one goes, and hopefully kill it. On top of that, I want to make him go after this person here. Oh, check this out. I'm going to be super sneaky. Watch this. This is going to be so good. Okay, we're going to reset this. Check this out. I'm allowed to switch spots. Yes, I do want to switch spots. I want to switch spots right there. Then I want to be able to adjust these 2, and I'm going to swap their spaces here. That does give me the ability to attack with him, and then if this person blinds any of our characters, I can use his ability to unblind them before they attack. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love the way you can manipulate this. That's super, super cool. Our Ronin is going to activate first. He's going to spend 2 activation points to do a heavy attack. I do want to mention that I haven't talked about this when I was talking about the actions you can do. When making an attack, you can only make 1 attack per turn, unless there's something that gives you the ability to do that, like our slaughter that allows us to perform 2 of those quick attacks with our ninja. So you can only make 1 attack per turn. So activation, I am going to use this katana and roll my dice, hopefully be able to take this guy out. Come on, Thunder Katana, let's do some damage. We did 4, I think that's a 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Minus 3 means we did 4 points of damage, and we have our yin-yang symbol, which states that I get to get +1 actions if causing 3 or more damage. So I get 1 of my action points back, so I'm back to 2 with him, and we did, what, 4, 5, 6, 7 minus 3 is 4 damage. And with 4 damage, that's what, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is enough to kill this character. We were able to defeat this character, and that will drop a head on the board. And since I am adjacent to that head, I am able to pick that up as a free action, and we can use that in the future to sell for 10 gold if we want to. Now, of course, it's a standalone scenario, so we won't be carrying these over, but normally you could carry these over into your next adventure phase if you wish to. So let's put that with Akaru. Maybe they can have bragging rights at the end of this mission here, and they can tell each other how well they did. All right, he still has 2 more actions left. Some options I have is I could use an item to maybe attack this character. I can interact with my tokens down here. I can make some moves, or I can even trade things with my fellow compatriots here. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to activate both of these since I'm standing right here. We're going to start with H. Now remember, H is one of those good things. This guy threw something out here that might be able to help us. You approach to pick up the object that was thrown from the house. I get to draw a random market card. All right, fantastic. We have drawn ourselves a, what's this, news poison? It has 3 uses. It adds a purple and poison to an attack. Oh, that's pretty awesome. With my last action, I am going to interact with the D story moment. Oh no, it's a trap! The Jinkaninki grabbed the character that interacted with this point. I'm probably also going to get grabbed for how poorly I pronounced that. It says here I have to perform a strength test. If I succeed, I'm going to put the enemy adjacent to purple and then place the initiative card after the active character card, which means I'm going to go next. That's terrible. If I fail, I'm dragged into the well and receive 2 purple damage and require 2 activations to get back out. So I will place the character inside the well square. A character in the well cannot be targeted by attacks. So that's kind of good. We'll roll our die and see how we do. I got 2 plus 1, so that is a fail. I need 5, I only got 3, so that is the end for that. I am going to take 2 purple damage and be pulled into this well. I take 4 damage. I do have 4 armor, so I believe I absorb all of the damage and I don't take any. Now, one thing I have noticed that I may have been making a mistake on is I think I have some of these cubes in the wrong spot. I have been using the numbers that our characters have correctly, but I don't have the cubes in the right spot. Now, I do also want to mention this. In the last turn, I'm supposed to also add my strength value here to all of my attack rolls, and I've totally been forgetting to do that, so I've been playing on hard mode already. So going forward, when you do make attacks, you're supposed to add this number in. I totally forgot to do that for all of my attacks so far, which is kind of funny. Now, of course, he doesn't have any action points yet left. He has already done all of his actions. We're going to move into our next character's turn. It's going to be an enemy activating next, but here's what I mean. For some reason, I don't know why, I thought that if you put them here and go this way, and these would come this way, kind of all moving into the middle here. But if you notice, there's a 1, 2, and 3 here, so these should be placed in the 1 slot on here. I think I also did it with our monks, what is it, knowledge as well. You should only have 1. So I had those in the wrong spot, and I apologize for that. All right, I think we're good to go. But before we do, we have to drag our character and drop him into the well. That's too bad for you. It's going to cost him 2 action points to get out of that well. We'll roll a die and see what our enemy is going to do. It got a 3. Our enemy is going to be attacking with a more advantageous attack here, an aggressive attack. It got a 4, so it's going to try to do Flash of Evil against all adjacent. There's nobody adjacent to this character, so we're going to move to the next one, which is move adjacent to, and then do Flash of Evil, which is going to be at +1 damage. Now, this is going to target the person with the most, I believe it's Spirit, and there are 2 characters that do not have any. And that is Akira and Hattori. So this character is going to move 1, 2 to be adjacent to both. Now remember, he's in the well, so he cannot be targeted. So the target is actually going to be that character right there. And I'm going to roll 2 greens, a purple, and a red. I took 4 damage. I have 3 defense, so I'm only going to take 1 damage from that character. But because I took damage, I am going to gain the blind status. Now, one thing I didn't mention was what exactly the blind status does. When you make an attack, after the attack is done, you're going to roll a d6. And if you ever roll a 1, 2, or 3 on this die, when you're blinded, that means that your attack has totally failed. It's going to do absolutely no damage. It's not, and then after you do roll the die, though, you do get to discard the token, so it really only affects you for 1 turn, but that can be absolutely monstrous. Having a huge attack and all of a sudden finding out you missed. That's just so sad. With our enemy activation complete, we are going to go into our monk's turn. And the first thing he's going to do is that healing ability, which is going to remove the blind token and heal our character and the adjacent character equal to the number. The number in there is 4, so it's going to heal 2. Now he's only down 1 point. Our monk is down 1 point as well, so he's going to heal back up to full. At this point, I think I'm going to spend my last 2 action points to attack. I was debating about maybe running over here and checking out that point, but I think this character, the enemy's only taken 2 damage, and I think the best bet is to try to hit it with as many characters I have, and I've got 3 left to hopefully take that one out. My monk's weapon isn't the best. We are going to attack with the heavier attack here and see how it goes. I got 4, 5, 6. Now I do have 1. I don't have any strength on him, so it's just straight 6 minus 3 is we've done 3, bringing the damage total to 5 against our enemy. At this point, it is going to be our ninja's turn. I'm going to discard this card. We don't need that one anymore. Our ninja is going to make the slaughter attack, being able to perform those 2 quick attacks with our tiger claws and activating both of our permanent items to be able to do some hopefully major damage to this enemy. And then if we need to, hopefully this will finish it off. If not, then I guess we're going to the next round and there's still an enemy on the board. Our first attack, I'm going to add an extra purple dice to it. We got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 damage. Plus I activate the yin yang power, which is going to be 8 damage. And he has 1 strength, so that's 9 damage. I think he might just kill this thing in 1 shot. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, what a hit. And of course, 9 minus 6 is 11, so we're going to roll our next attack and probably take this character out. I don't get to use the purple die anymore because that was just a one-time thing, but I did do 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 points of damage because I do get to add the extra damage here. 6, oh, and I get 7. I get an extra 1 because I can activate that yin yang power again. So that does take our enemy off the board, and I'm able to collect a head because I am adjacent to it, so I'm going to grab one of those. The score is now 1-1. Let's see how that goes. This character has now completed its activation. We are going to discard our enemy card. It is no longer here. We do have Tomoe is going to go next. Oh, actually, I think he's still got one more activation, doesn't he? He does. He could move. I think he's going to move to be adjacent to the farthest one possible because he got the most movement here. He's got a total of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can get all the way over here. He's going to move all the way over to B, and then hopefully in our next few turns here, we can check out the rest of these points. She's going to move. I don't know if I want to check this one out. Last time I checked something out next to the board where our characters started, it was bad. I think that's our little tricksy here, is they put the bad thing next to where our characters are. This character only moved 3 though, so I'm going to move it 1, 2 for 1 activation, and then our other activation is we are going to check out this point right here and see what happens. You carefully peek into the house. Suddenly a shriek sounds from inside and a shadow rushes at you. Consequences: place one of these enemies adjacent to the active character and add the AI token to one side of the board. AI token? I don't know what an AI token is. I think that means I'm supposed to spawn this enemy. So let's just spawn this enemy and we'll try to take it out. See how it goes here. I'm actually going to put it at the end and I'm going to let it activate after my character, though it doesn't say that. That looks very similar as to what happened in our last one, where if we were to succeed in being freed from that enemy in the last turn, I could place the initiative card after the active character card. Now I know it doesn't say it here. It says to add the AI token to one side of the board, but I don't even know what an AI token is. So we're going to just put the card out there and put the guy on the board. Why not? More enemies, more fun. Here is our enemy. We're going to place this down on the board. He looks like this. Like I said, these sculpts are really cool. These monsters really did a great job. I love the fact that they even have the sculpted bases, which makes super cool. I'm going to get rid of put C there, and then I'm going to place the initiative card out in the row. I'll have it activate on its red power. We'll roll a die and see what it's going to do here. It's got a 4. That's probably not going to be good. All right, let's see here. Aggressive, 1 to 4. It's going to attack the person with the most hearts, and it's going to use the black die. It's going to move adjacent, and it's going to move adjacent, and then bleed and bloodlust, or then adjacent bite with +1. So I do have an hero that is adjacent. That adjacent enemy doesn't have the most health, but I don't think it's going to be able to move to get to the other person with the most health. So it's probably just going to stay there and attack this one. So let us go through here. Adjacent, I think I'm going to gain bleed, and it's going to do bloodlust, which I'm going to get +1 damage. If it causes any damage, it gets to regain 2 health. Oh boy. All right. It's going to roll 2 purples, a green, and an orange. It has 1 range, 2 resistance, 4 movement, and 7 health. So with the 4 movement, it would only be able to get to 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it could get there. Remember, he can't target him because he's in the well, and he's the one with the most health. So the second one would be her, so it is going to go after her. We'll roll our attack. Remember, we are going to be using this gray die as well. So it's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, plus the white symbol on the gray die. Okay, so I think I read this card wrong. It's going to move adjacent to the target with bleed and perform bloodlust. Since nobody has bleed, it's actually just going to move adjacent and bite with +1 damage. So the bite, if it causes +2 damage, then it's going to provoke bleed. That's what's going to happen here. So the bite is going to go off. It did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, minus my 4 is 1. So I'm going to take 1 damage, but it's going to go +1, so that's 2 damage. I have taken 2 damage, so I am going to gain bleed, and I'm going to take 2 damage, going down to 11 points of damage, or 11 health there. I then am going to take a bleed token, and now that that's all complete, I'm going to reduce my armor by 1 because he rolled the white symbol on the focus die, which is horrible. That means I lose 1 armor. So I'll have to try to repair that somehow. Now remember, some of our characters do have abilities to repair armor, like we've got this hammer here. And there are actually abilities that some characters can have that can give you the ability to repair your armor, but I don't think any of them have that. Also, the bleeding token I I have now will cause 1 damage for every time this character activates. And I believe you can have more than 1 bleeding token, which would be really bad. That's the end of the round, so I'm going to tick down all of our dice. Any that go from 1 to 0 go into the exhausted pool here. So these are all going to tick down to 1, and then after the last round, these are going to go exhausted. I can roll them back in and start putting them out. I'm going to tick down everybody else's as well, but I'm going to do it off screen. There isn't anything major that's going to happen, except for Hattori is going to lose 1 of his dice. It does move out of his what's called roll ability that he has at the bottom of his board. And with that complete, we're going to move into the next round. We'll draw our next Oracle card, see what it is. We have gotten ourselves, oh no, another red one. Really? Another red one? Hopefully it doesn't spawn some super bad guy. I've got bad guys on the board here. This one states, now we're going to move this up a little bit. A villager screams from a well. Apparently, the Shogun henchmen have thrown him in there. Place E on purple and remove purple. Well, right now I got a guy on purple, but we're going to place the E token on purple, which is going to be right underneath where our character is. He's got to perform 2 actions to get out of there, maybe perform the other action to check that out. That's done. We're going to go through our initiative cards here, give them a good truffle shuffle, and see what happens. Now remember, you only move this malice track when you run out of things that happen on these cards. Sadly, my favorite is the fact that I've only got 2 bad cards in there, and I've drawn 2 of 3 bad cards. So I don't have any malice yet, but as we go forward, we may gain some. I need to get off this board pretty quick. We only have 2, well, we have 2 cards left, and when this deck empties, we have to shuffle it, but I don't know how many events there are before it's going to say, sorry, no more events. That's kind of one of the interesting, that's the cool thing about these cards being tucked into these things here. You don't know how many events are left before the malice track starts going up. That is the reason they use these like this. We're going to have, oh, really? Our bad guy's going to go first? All right, oh, at least you can switch spots with him, but that's not going to matter. He's going to have to climb out of a well. He's going to be climbing out of a well. All right, that's going to be the, and he's going to attack with the aggressive thing again. My gosh, I've gotten so unlucky with this. All right, first thing I could do is swap spots with the person in front of me. I am going to do that. Actually, I'm going to be real tricky again. I'm going to do that with him, and then I can switch spots with anybody on the board. So we are going to switch spots with Tomoe, because Tomoe is right next to it. Maybe she can hopefully take it out before it's going to be able to activate. Actually, I have a better plan. I've got more plans here. I'm actually going to switch these 2 characters. And the reason why is because it doesn't matter when he goes. He's going to have to just get out of the well. There's nothing else he can do. He can do a ton of damage with those 2 attacks. And it's the last time he's going to be able to do it before his key dice drop below 4. So I'm going to put him first. Hopefully he can take him out beforehand. And this person is going to be able to buff this character when it comes to attacking. And I'll show you how it's all going to work. She's got something called teamwork. So other characters within 2 spaces with attack with +1 damage, which is going to be good. And he's going to use one of his actions to move, and then the other 2 to attack that character with the slaughter ability again, being able to use this and both of our items. So it's going to be super good. Lots of dice, lots of damage, and it's going to be sweetness. So I was going to have him look at B, but he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 to be adjacent here and attack. Using our Tiger Claws, I am going to be using the quick attack. Our first one's going to add that extra purple die in. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I activate the Yin Yang for 6. Her extra damage is 7. So I've done a total of 7. He does have 2 resistance, so it's going to take 5 damage. It has a total of 7 health, and so it has 2 left. Let's roll up our next attack minus that extra purple die. We did 1, 2, 3, plus the one on the card is 4, plus her extra one is 5, minus 2 is another 3 damage. So that's way more than enough to take this guy out. This minion is now dead. Like I said, it only has 10 health or 7 health, and it has 2 defense. There are other sides of the cards that are going to make the character stronger, and the game will tell you when to use these cards. It'll put a plus sign next to the name of the enemy. This one didn't have it. This one's actually pretty brutal. It's like it's carrying the parts of a guy in his mouth. He's carrying around. That's kind of cool. All right, so we've destroyed that guy. I do get to claim another head, bringing my total head total, I guess you could say, to 2 for him. He's kind of like my killing machine. Now that worked perfectly. I love the way you can really strategize how you want to deal with the enemies and things with this initiative track. It's so cool. I'm going to activate Tomoe next. Tomoe is going to take 1 damage, bringing her down to 10, and that's because of her bleeding token. And I'm going to move her 1, 2, 3, so she's adjacent to B. And for her second activation, she is going to activate the B token. You hear a cry coming from inside the house. Peeking out the door, you see a little girl curled up in a ball in the corner of the room. "My mother went to the cemetery and hasn't come back," she says between sobs. "If you find her, can you give her this doll so she knows I want her back?" Place the interaction point G, cemetery, on the green spawn point. The character will carry the girl's doll, interaction point B, which he will place on his board. It will not take up space in the inventory because it is considered a special item. I'll place our B token right here with our character. And we'll place our G token right up there. That's the end of her turn. We're going to go on to our monk. Our monk could get to her and heal her. I think he is. He's going to go 1, 2. No, he's just going to go check out A. 1, 2, 3 to right there. We're going to check out A and see what happens. You ask an old woman about how you can get to the ancient fortress. "You will have to take the road that runs northwest through the rice fields to the outskirts of the village near the river mill. There you will see the huge collapsed gate leading to the fortress courtyard. And well, there is another way, an ancient secret passage located at the bottom of a large crypt of the cemetery. But going there at nights is madness. Those creatures that smell blood have already killed many of our neighbors." Consequence, place interaction point F, rice field, on red, and the cemetery on green if it wasn't already there. Well, it's already there, so let's put the F on red. The F token will go right here. We'll move into our next character's turn, which is him. He's going to go. I'm going to spend 2 of my actions to get out of there, and then I'll spend the other one to activate E. Okay, so there's an errata with this, and I totally made a mistake. This is supposed to be the interaction that you're supposed to have when you interact with that token E. It's supposed to be the one where the thing grabs you and tries to drag you down in the well. We already did it, and I apologize for reading the wrong thing. The one we were supposed to read when we were next to the door, or next to token D, is in a different spot. It was this one. It says, "No one respawns from the house. Do not remove this interaction token." So that should have been what we read when we were next to the token D over next to the house, instead of the one where I got dragged into the well. That's my fault. I apologize. So that's super cool and thematic that when you hear the scream coming from the well and you go and activate it, you could potentially get pulled down by that creature. That's pretty awesome. But I sadly failed how that works. I apologize. Instead, we're just going to activate him just like that. He's just going to stay right there. We're going to go into our next round. Now, some of our characters will be able to carry actions over into this next turn, but I don't think it's really going to matter. We're just going to draw our next green event because there are only green cards left, and we'll pull up our next event here, and it says, what's it say here? "The noise comes from house D." Oh, there's that D again. Then a window opens and a female-looking figure shoots with a bow. The closest enemy to D is dealt 2 orange damage. Well, that would have been pretty awesome, but we already killed everything. So nothing's out there. I'm not going to shuffle these up. Basically, any person can go here and check out F and G. Let's see here. Let's shuffle them up and see what happens. I have a feeling that one of these 2 tokens are going to move us on to the next area. Let's see what we get here. Our first character is going to be Tomoe. Tomoe is right here. Now, I think I could choose to either go to these rice fields or the cemetery. Now, I have the doll to go to the cemetery, but nothing good ever happens in a cemetery, so we're going to go to the rice paddies. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over to here and just activate this thing. I'm going to use 2 of my movement points and 1 action to activate F, which I believe is going to send us to the next part. Let's check it out. It says you can only interact with this point if there are no enemies left in play. That is true. If you choose to continue through the rice fields, read on, but there will be no turning back. Okay, so there's 2 different ways that you can move through this adventure phase or exploration phase. The first one is being able to travel, which is, I believe, what we're going to be doing here, which means you're just going to kind of set up a whole new board and start again. But there's also exploration ones as well, where the board itself is going to start growing and you're going to be able to expand and move through through different parts of like an area or different parts of a house or things of that nature. But at this point, we're going to go through the rice fields. I have no intention of going through a cemetery. And it says here, you leave the village behind and plunge into the darkness on your way to the fortress. After several hours of walking, the night seems to come to an end, and you finally catch sight of the rice field in the distance that the old woman told you about. Consequences: remove the tile for the village and everything on it, and then follow the instructions to repair zone 2, the rice fields. So this will be a travel mechanic here, or we're just going to travel to the next tile. So we will be removing everything here. Along with these cards, we do not need these cards anymore, so we'll put them back in the box and grab the ones for the rice fields. Again, I do apologize for mixing up the 2 D token and the E token here. I apologize for that, but I think you see kind of how it worked, which was super cool, and sadly I apologize, did it wrong. All right, let's move into the next rice field. Unfortunately, the danger had not been left behind, as the scene before them was even more terrifying. Surprised, the 4 watched in horror what was happening before their eyes. In a rice field where a real hunt was taking place, the miserable prey were defenseless peasants. They were trying unsuccessfully to save their lives as they faced a whole legion of kappa, fiercely led by none other than a nue. This beast was a monstrous creature, a cross between an ape and a feline, with an intimidating tail that appeared to be a snake. Once again, the group's worth would be tested in an unimaginable way by enemies that far surpassed them. The objective is to save as many civilians as possible and defeat the giant creature here. When it's defeated, the remaining kappa will immediately flee. We'll read story moment 1. Malice is going to be cumulative. We still have 0, which is awesome. Our Oracle deck will remain the same. I will be reshuffling it and starting again now that we've entered a new area. Now, if you were to go to a new exploration area as opposed to a travel area, I believe you keep the deck going and you just continue on with what you've been drawing and then eventually shuffle it up. But I think if you move to a new travel area, we're going to reshuffle our deck and get it all set up again. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments below. Here are the special rules. First, we have fresh blood. The kappa will always prioritize the civilian as a target in case of a draw. Each attack will remove 1 resistance point, and I'll show you that in just a second. Also, we have to take it down. The mill door is closed. If there are no civilians outside the mill, the new priority target will be the mill door and the villager hiding inside. And again, I will show you that shortly. Here's a quick look at the map, and yes, that guy's absolutely huge and he's terrifying. Here are the different kappa that will be out on the board. Here are our villagers. They're going to be here. Here's the mill door they're talking about. And these 2 tokens next to them are resistance tokens. The way they work is that whenever an enemy is supposed to attack and they would attack a villager, you'll remove 1 resistance token no matter how much damage an enemy would do. It's always going to remove 1 unless, of course, the story or cards or anything else tells you differently. If you're noticing on the map, there are a new colored area here. These purple ones. These purple are difficult terrain. You can move into it. It costs you 1, but to move out of that terrain, it will cost you 2. Our starting locations is right next to the big giant monster. Before we start, all of her dice are in the exhausted area, so we are going to roll those back into her character board here and hopefully give her a much better roll. And we did. We can really use almost all of her stuff. Now, sadly, he has reached a point where he can't use any of his abilities anymore. And I think I accidentally used this one illegally in the last turn because it was supposed to be at 3 and I had it at 2, but I think I would have used it. I think I used it at 3 before I flipped it to 2. But before we move to the next location, I did tick everybody's die down, kind of assimilating that it was the end of a round. If I'm not supposed to do that, please let me know, but I did bring everybody's down 1 point. Now, of course, the other 2 characters only have a couple dice slotted in, and it's not going to affect how they are positioned and what they're going to be able to do. But do know that he cannot use his 2 skills here, which is really bad because I needed both of those skills to hopefully do some really cool moves in this turn. But in order to get these dice back into onto my character, we're going to have to use 2 action points. Now here's, of course, his other die in the exhausted section. 2 action points to be able to re-roll any dice I want to. So I would have to spend 2 actions to do it, and that's going to be absolutely horrible unless I found a way to get more actions. There is a new type of monster out here now. Before we had minions, we were fighting them in the last one. Here's our new minion tile. We'll be fighting them as well. But this is going to be a different monster. This is a servant. These servants are going to be, as you can see, more formidable. He's got 24 health and 3 resistance here. tons of dice. He rolls almost every die. And instead of having only a few things based on the card draw that we have, this guy is always just going to roll a d6 and deal with what's here. He does have some passive abilities that are going to be active, and all the rest of these are going to be happening depending on which one we roll. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited to see what this guy does. And with that, we'll get our round set up. First, we're going to shuffle up that deck here. That's going to be our Oracle deck. We'll draw our top card. We've got a green one. That's fantastic. Now we'll take our initiative cards, give them a good old truffle shuffle here. Now, of course, we put in all those Kape, and we also have our big giant monster in there, as well as all 4 of our heroes. We'll set this here. I'm not going to show them yet because we do have to activate our green event here first. It says here, one of these survivors plucks up courage and attacks with a knife from his belt. One villager can make an attack against one adjacent enemy with 2 green dice for damage. Oh, that's awesome. I think I'm going to have this one attack because I'm not probably going to get up here. So hopefully he can take this guy out in one shot. I actually can guarantee this person can't kill the guy. I think the most his damage dice can do is 4. It's done no damage. Well, you know, it is a villager. I wouldn't expect too much. Well, maybe at least a little bit. But nope, we got nothing. Look at the bright side, it wasn't anything bad. All right, let's figure out who is going to go. We got Tomoe, then we've got our giant guy, then we've got a bad guy, another bad guy, we've got our character, then we got our monk, another bad guy, and finally our ninja. Oh, our ninja's bad last. That's no good. I could change that. Okay, now there are going to be things that can adjust this. The first thing you do will be any events that are happening. So if an event were to change this initiative track, that would happen first. Then our characters can activate anything they have. So he will move 1 up on the track. Now it's going to be any of the monsters' activations. Now this evil giant guy here does have an ability that will advance him 3 space on the initiative track and is immune to negative conditions. So he is going to move up 3, which would put him at the top. At this point then, I can now change any one character to switch places with here. I think I might change a couple of these characters. Our monk is going to switch with Tomoe, and the reason why is because Tomoe is still bleeding. This way I can activate him first, hopefully using that heal power to be able to heal that bleeding token off her. Now, of course, this guy's going to go first, and who knows what that guy's going to do. What he's going to do is roll d6. And he got, oh no, he got a 6. It's probably really bad. It says here, he's going to go after the person with the most armor. And it says this attack has no range limitations. It deals orange, a green, and a purple die and -1 armor to the target. Oh boy, okay. So it's just going to fire this off. Now, also it has some passive abilities. It says ignore the effects of obstacles, difficult and occupied terrain on movement and line of sight. It'll push other miniatures and live resistors to the closest square he will not enter during his movement. He also has snake tail. If it deals damage, it is going to invoke poison. All right, so it's going to attack the person with the most armor, which is going to be Akira. He's going to get attacked, and he's going to have to roll these 3 dice, -1 to his armor at the end, and if he does any damage, he is going to gain poison. Let's roll those 3 dice and see what happens. I took 2 damage, which I'm going to be able to block all of it, but I'm still going to lose armor. No damage was done to him, but he is going to lose 1 health. Or sorry, 1 armor point. For being a big giant bad guy, that actually wasn't too bad. I'll turn his card and we'll move into our monk. The first thing I'm going to do is this healing power. I'm going to be able to heal 1 damage to himself and an adjacent character. I'm going to choose Tomoe. That way I can get rid of this bleeding token and put her up to 11. I'm also going to discard this B token unless we have to use it for something in the future. I'll bring it back. With my next action point, I'm going to move 1, 2 to stand next to this orange one and hopefully try to take it out. Because with my third action, I'm going to make a quick attack using 2 purple dice. But before I do, I am going to slot this into number 3 to be able to give myself the ability to reroll a die. It's only 2 purple, but there is a chance that I could take this guy out. I got a total of 3, 4, and I get to add 1 because of the yin-yang symbol, so I get the 5 damage. I think that's enough to take him out. They have 3 health and 2 resistance, so that more defense here. So he is going to take 5 minus 2 is 3. That is enough to take out the orange character. I get to gain a head token. We'll give that to our character. Again, we're just collecting to see who is the best fighter. That's the end of his turn. I'm going to remove the orange card. And we're going to move into the green character's turn here. He's going to activate an attack of one of the resistance tokens on one of these civilians. And then we're going to move into Akira Akira's turn. He is going to make some attacks, I think. From where the green enemy is, it's going to attack this character adjacent to it, removing one of the resistance tokens for no matter how much of the damage it's doing. Then we're going to use our character here. It's going to move 1, 2, 3 to right here to still stay adjacent to this character. I kind of want him to be the focal point of the attack because he does have a lot of armor that he can hopefully soak up a lot of this damage. He's then going to make his attack with 2 other action points to allow him to make a giant big attack against this thing. His giant attack allows me to roll 2 green and a red. Let's see how it goes. I got a total, oh my gosh. That guy's super dead. So he's I don't even count that up. He's really, really dead. I might have killed him twice. I get to gain a head token for him, so he's got 2 as well. We got a lot of people out there with heads, which is fantastic. Oh, but I did do more than 3, so I am going to gain back an action point. So I'll be able to carry that over into the next round. We'll remove the red enemy from the battle board here, and it's going to be Tomoe's turn because he is done. And we'll see what she can do. She might be able to do something really cool. I think she's going to do something awesome. First, she's going to slot in her dice. I think that'll be awesome. If you deal 3+, it delays the target at the end of the initiative. Oh, it's not really going to matter right now. I'll leave that die alone. But I do want to keep the teamwork die going, so I'm going to give that a 5. And I'm going to put the military discipline here as a 3. The reason I want that is because I want this passive power that allows me to change my weapon, because I'm going to put this weapon on right now. I think that'll be super cool and be able to attack with it. No, actually not. I lied. I'm going to shoot my bow. I'm going to shoot my bow because I got a plan. It's going to be super cool. I'm going to make the attack against the main enemy of the board here, and we're going to roll our big attacks. I'm going to roll a green, a purple, and a red. Now, what I'm also going to do is I am going to activate my level 3 ability over here, and that's going to be able to do a range 10, also doing 2 more red dice worth of damage. It's called Divine Fire. It's super cool. Now, this can only be done once per exploration phase, but I think this is a good time to use it to do extra damage to this guy. Now, it does have a range of 10, which means I could shoot it almost across the board, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about the range. I just want to get all that extra damage. I get to fire with my bow, which is a green, purple, and red. I got a total of 3 damage there. Then I get to roll up 2 more red dice. I don't have 2. I only have 1 more red die. So I got another 2. So we're at 2, 4, 5. And we'll roll 1 more red die here. 5, 6, 7, 8. This was a black 2. So we've got 8 damage coming in right now. I do have a yin-yang symbol, so I can reroll a die. So we have 8, and I'm going to reroll the purple die. The purple die gives me 2 more, 8, 9, 10. We did a total of 10 damage in 1 attack. 10 minus 3 is going to be 7 points of damage. I think that's a really good use of that skill. With my last action point, I'm going to use one of my shurikens that has a range of 2 and does 2 purple dice. I've actually changed my mind. I'm going to use this statue instead. I can delay a minion 1 position. Now, of course, that doesn't work against our giant monstrosity, but it would work against one of the kappa. So we're going to use that instead of the shurikens. And also, I do have these shurikens illegally. I didn't notice this when I originally made the market deck. This has a range of 2, and notice that this is a knowledge of 2. The deck is supposed to be comprised of knowledge 1 and 2 cards. This is not a knowledge card, so I technically can't even have that card. So I'm going to discard that card. That card's not even supposed to be in my repertoire because it was an illegal card to have. But I am going to use this, and I'm going to delay that minion. And the reason why is maybe I can have our ninja take it out before it even activates. With our 3 activations, our ninja is going to do the first activation going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there. And then second, I am going to activate his attack. Actually, I think I'm going to do a quick attack against this one. My Tiger Claws are going to give me the ability to roll 3 dice, and I'm going to use this guy to give me the extra purple and roll them up and hopefully do a ton of damage. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I got the yin-yang symbol for 6, so I am going to do the 6 damage, and he only needs 5 to die, so I'm going to be removing this one from the board, and I'll be collecting his head. I'm going to save my extra action point and go to the end of the round. He's going to lower his dice, so this is going to go to a 2. This is going to go into the exhaust pile. That brings us to the next round. We're going to discard the card and see what we have this time. We have another green Oracle card. That's really awesome. We're going to check to see what that does for our mission here. We're going to bring up the next one, and for the rice field, it says here, the villagers still standing overcome their fear and join the battle. All villagers attack 1 adjacent enemy with 2 green dice. All right, we'll see if this actually works again. There's only 1 that's going to be attacked, and that's this guy up here. Funny enough, I could have probably left these two characters to destroy these. It did 4 damage. It only has 2 resistance. So the funny thing is that one has 1 health left. Oh my gosh. I wonder if I should just maybe hopefully draw another green card and it'll attack and kill it again. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's going to do that again. These guys aren't going to keep fighting. We're going to take our initiative cards, turn them over, give them a good old truffle shuffle here, and place them down and see who gets to go first. Hopefully it's our wonderful characters here. It's going to be, oh, it's going to be Tomoe. It's going to be our ninja. This is awesome. Oh, it's going to be the bad guy. It's going to be him. Oh, good. The turtle goes last, or I should say, sorry, it's not a turtle. It is a kappa, but it kind of looks like a turtle. That character is going to go last, and that helps us a ton. Okay, let's do our things in order here. He gets to choose a plate. If he wants to move up, he is going to move up. This now gets to move up 3, 1, 2, 3, which slides everybody down, and it will activate first. At this point now, I can choose if I want to switch anyone. And again, I think this time I'm going to keep everybody the way they are. I think that's what I want to do. Yes, I think we're good. Okay, we're going to give this a shot and see how it goes. The first thing we have to do is roll a die for this character and see what he does. He's going to do number 3, Bloody Speed. It says right here he's going to attack the person with the most armor. At this point, every single one of our characters has 3 armor. It says now it's going to move adjacent to the maximum amount of enemies and use Snaketail against 1. If it deals damage, Snaketail against another enemy who has not been attacked with -2, and repeat the sequence until the attack deals no damage, reducing 2 extra for each attack. Oh my gosh, all right. Well, let's take care of that. So to attack as many people as possible, it is actually going to move right there. And now it has just the ability to attack all 3 of our characters. It'll attack the person with the least amount of armor first. And since all of our characters have 3, I get to choose the order in which it's going to attack. I'm going to have it attack the monk first, and then I'm going to have it attack Akira, and then we will attack Tomoe if it's still attacking. This thing rolls an absurd amount of dice, and it did 4, 5, 6, 7 points of damage. I get to reduce the damage by 3, so he is going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 damage, bringing him down to 7, and is going to gain a poison token, which means now he gets -1 to all rolls. The pain is not over yet. I get to roll again, and it did a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage this time. 9 minus 3 is 6. -2 is 6, 5, 4. -1, which is right here, is 3. So he's going to take 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to give him a poison token as well. I get one more attack, and I get to subtract 4 from this roll. This one did 1, 2, 3, 4, so it did nothing because I get to subtract 4 automatically. So it doesn't actually attack Tomoe and do any damage, so I'm not going to get poisoned. That is the end of its turn. I'll turn the card sideways. Tomoe gets to go next. I'm going to use 1 action of my 3 actions to move. 1, 2, and 3 to right there. At this point, I'm going to make an attack using, I think I'm going to do a quick attack. That's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I can shoot through those squares. I can also, of course, shoot through my allies as well. Now, of course, this would stop any type of attack because it's a building. And other than that, there's nothing else on this map that's going to stop anything from my shot getting somewhere. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to attack that with a quick attack. I get to roll 2 green and an orange for my quick attack. Let's see how that goes. I did 1, 2, 3. It only has 2 resistance, so I do get 1 damage through, and it only had 1 health left, so this creature is dead. I'm going to go put a head out on the board. This head will be placed up here. I can't get it because in order to do the free action to pick up the head, you have to either be adjacent to the square or in the square, so we can't get that right now. I have 1 action left with Tomoe. There's not much she can do, so she's going to hold that action until the next round. We'll move into our ninja's turn. Hattori is going to go next. He is going to use an action to move. He has 4 actions. The first move is going to be 1, 2 to right here so that we can attack this thing. Now, I don't get any special attacks for attacking in the back or anything like that. There's nothing. Facing in this game is not a thing. There isn't anything advantage about attacking in a certain place where you stand. We are going to spend 2 action points to do a major attack against this character and go for a big hit with our Tiger Claws. I get to roll a good amount of dice. I get to add a purple die thanks to my pendant. We'll see how much damage we're able to inflict. I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Plus 1 is 9 because of my claws, and I get an extra point bringing it to 10 because other characters within 2 range when attacking get to do an extra damage thanks to Tomoe. 10 minus 3 is 7, so we're going to bring this total damage up to 14. So we'll do 10 and 3. There we go. We got 14. We only have to do 10 more. Next is Akira. He is going to attack and hopefully do some damage. Now he is poisoned, so he gets -1 to this roll. I'm going to do a big hit using 2 of my activations here. I could stab him to ignore the armor, but this guy doesn't have any armor, so that really doesn't help. I do have an item I could use. I have this one. It allows me to add an extra purple die and poison on an attack. Why don't we use that? We'll drop that down to 2. 2 actions here, so I get to use a purple, 2 green, and a red when attacking. Let's roll these up and see how we do. I did 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 with Tomoe's ability, but then -1 brings it back to 7. 7 more -3 is 4, so we're going to do an extra 3, I guess. 3 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 1 more heart here. So there we go. We are up to 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to do 6 damage to kill this thing. Oh, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. I think what we're going to do is we're going to move into another turn. What I am going to do though is I'm going to place my last spirit die here. This one I'm going to use right now as an action. So I've only got 2 actions left. This one is going to allow me to heal 1. So I'm going to go up to 8. I'm also going to heal Akira as well, who is going to go to 13. Both of our characters are going to remove their poison status, which will help quite a bit. We'll get rid of that. Now, actually, he could have done it himself. He does have this, which is remove 1 negative condition at the end of your activation. But those are the only 2 that are hurt, so I might as well use those. Akira does also have 2 more action points, but he can only carry over 1. Totally fine. At this point now, I have everything placed here. I'm going to, now sadly, I can't use anything but this one, because this needs a 3 and that needs a 3. What I'm actually planning to do here is use my ability as a free action to remove some of these dice. I can take any 2 dice I want and exhaust them. So I'm going to exhaust both of these dice with my spirit abilities here and be able to roll those in coming into our next turn. I'm going to use my last 2 actions to make an attack. Now there is a chance that I could have probably took this guy out this turn, and that's if I use this guy's Kami ability. It attacks with 6 damage along with the actual attack to a random enemy up to 5 spaces away. And this is the only enemy there, so he would take pretty much all this damage, which would be 6 would almost be enough to kill it outright without even having to roll the dice. But one thing I'd like to do is maybe kind of get a full reset before we move into the next board. I'm going to make an attack at full power here for 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, that's really good. Meaning I'll have done 4 more. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We are at 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 22. Wow, that's super close. He has only 2 health left, but that's going to bring us to the end of our round. So at this point, looking at our characters, I'm going to exhaust this die, making an empty pool. I'm going to exhaust that die over there. These are both going to turn down to 1, which we could probably get out of there as well. This one is also going to turn to 1. We're going to take all of our cards, shuffle them up here, give them a good old truffle shuffle, and get them ready for the next round. My goal is that hopefully all 4 of our characters go before this guy does. Otherwise, he's going to go first. There's nothing I can do about it. We're going to draw our next card and see what we have. I was afraid of that. There's only 1 more good one left in there. We're going to check out our rice fields here. It says, the area is buffed by a violent gust of wind, which seems to drive the hordes of the Shogun. All enemies gain +1 defense. Okay, that's terrible. So now he's got 4 defense. I don't think that's really going to save him, but it still is not something fun. We have our monk. We have our Akira. We have, oh no, there's the bad guy. I was really hoping we'd go before him, but that's okay. He is going to jump. Well, I could choose to switch these 2 if I want to. I'm not going to. Then I'm going to move this guy up to here, and then it's our turn to decide if we want to switch any 2 characters here. We'll activate this thing's attack here and see what it gets. It got a 4, which is phase shift. It's going to attack the first person initiative, which is our monk. The monster and the target attack with +3. Only the attack with the highest amount of damage is applied. If both have the same amount of damage, both are applied. +5 armor for both this round. Well, that's really weird. Okay, so he's going to attack, and we get to roll the damage for both our characters, or for the character and the monster, but the person who does the most damage is going to be the one that has the most damage. But I do get an extra 5 armor for this. This is kind of odd. I'm going to attack with the monster first. If he does an astronomical amount of damage, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't think I can get higher than this. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, there's no way I can get higher than 9 on the dice that I have. So this is going to do, what I say, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus the extra 3, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage to me. But I do have 3 plus 5 is 8. So 8 minus 12 is 4 damage. So I'll take 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I go down to 4 health. That's absolutely terrible. Super bad. And then it also, I believe, I think that's it. I don't think anything else happens. That could have been a lot worse, but I think we're okay. I'm going to have our monk go next. All of his key dice are exhausted. I should have actually rolled those in. Let's see how we do. Come on, big numbers. Bad numbers. We got bad numbers. Oh my gosh, I was hoping for something really good. I wanted a 6 over here. I want a 6 on that thing right there. Oh, boo. Now, this person does get 3 actions. I could spend 2 actions just to re-roll some of these dice, but I don't think that's going to be worth it. I am going to place these dice. I'm going to place one here for the healing. That is going to allow me to heal myself 2 health, 1, 2. As an action, I'm going to use Sacred Water, which is going to give me 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, bringing my health total to 10, which is something I'm really going to need. Then we're going to attack this guy with our, actually, you know what I might do? I think instead of using this, I think I am going to spend 2 actions. I think we're going to do this differently. I'm going to go back down to, I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 more. So we're at 4 health, which is fine. What I'm going to do is I am going to spend those 2 action points, leaving myself with 1. I'm going to spend the 2 action points to re-roll any of these dice. I'm going to re-roll all of them. They're all terrible. Come on, big money. I got, not big money. I got the same money as almost. All right, we're going to put 4 here now. Let me put a 4 there. Maybe that'll help. No, it's still at 2. Ah, this is terrible. So I'm going to get 2 health back, going to 6. And then I'm going to use, now I think I'll use my potion. I'll use my potion to give myself 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 10, so same result. The only problem is now I use more of my key dice, which is super bad. Oh no, that was so bad. And I didn't even get to make an attack, but that's okay. This character is done. There's nothing more this one can do. We'll move over to Akira's turn. Akira does have 4 action dice, or 4 total dice, so he is going to spend 2 action points to exhaust all of his dice over to this point. I'm going to exhaust the 2, I'm going to re-roll, sorry, I'm going to re-roll these dice, not exhaust them. I'm going to re-roll them. Let's see how we do here. I got a 6, a 5, and a 5. Oh, where were you when you were the monk? Oh my gosh, those dice are absolutely awesome. Now, funny thing is, I wonder if I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this 6 right here. We're going to place it into that 6 cents so I can have that ready for myself the next turn. And at this point, I'm going to make a heavy attack using both of these and see how this goes. I'll grab 2 green and a red and see how it goes. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This thing does have 4 defense now, so I did 1 point of damage. I did forget about our teamwork, so it's actually 6 points of damage, which is going to be enough to take this character down. 4 minus 6 is 2. That brings us to 24. We have defeated this character, and we're going to be able to get one of these big monster heads, I think, for taking this guy down, which we're going to give to Akira. He's leading the charge now with all with the big head. Having defeated the main enemy, we'll read number 1. It says, with the fight finally over, the beasts annihilated, a villager appears from inside the hut. He has most probably hidden there somewhere and immediately heads toward his rescuers. We are indebted to you. This is a great victory, but more enemies will come. Hordes of creatures emerge every day from the bowels of that darn castle. I don't know how long we can hold out. Did you say castle? Akira asks instantly, for he knew what was his target, the fort where the spy was. Where is it? How can we get to it? If you follow the road going south, you will soon see it. You will see it in the distance, replied the farmer. Then let's not waste a moment. Our new destiny awaits us, says Tomoe. At this point, it asks us how many civilians we saved, and we saved every one of them. We did fantastic. It says the villagers thank you for saving their lives. As a token of gratitude, they give you some healing herbs that you take at that moment. They also give you a flask with a lethal poison against the Yokya, and accompany you to the fortress walls to help one of the characters to climb it and surprise the enemy from the wall. 2 characters can regain 2 health. Mark the box next to poison and surprise attack and go to 169 and follow the setup instructions for the fortress zone. But we're going to do that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the exploration phase of the game. This is super fun. It really has that old dungeon crawler feel, but also gives you some great ways of manipulating the initiative of the game. I think that's super cool. You can move your characters down, they move up. We get to switch characters. I think that's a super cool way of being able to tactically decide how you want to handle each turn in that game. Not to mention, I do like the event system as well, that you don't know what could happen as the game moves forward. Now at this time, I would like to thank Synergetic Games. They were the ones that gave me a chance to do this game with a review copy, so thank you so much to them for giving me this opportunity. If you did enjoy the playthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when the next battle comes out. We're going to be moving into the fortress. We'll see if we can survive the onslaught that is going to befall us. Who knows? We'll have to find out in the next video. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments section below. I would love to hear from everyone. Again, this game is going to be coming to Gamefound, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. Right now, at the time of this recording, there's a preview page available where you can, I believe you can sign up for just like an alert to know when it is ready to go to Gamefound, and then you can back it when it comes out. This is going to be a reprint with an extra expansion, of course, that they're developing for this game. If you are interested in supporting the channel, please feel free to check out the Patreon. The link to that is also in the description of this video. Those that are part of the Patreon are found here on the screen. Thank you so much for your patronage. It does mean the world to me. We're able to give the Patreon supporters some great perks. One of them is they do get to watch Colin and my playthrough usually a day or 2 ahead of time without commercial interruptions, and then they also get a chance to decide how this game moves forward in a lot of the campaign games that Colin and I play. We let them decide sometimes the characters we play with. Also, if we get to a point where we have to decide how to level our characters up or what skills to have, we give them the ability to help us decide how those characters develop in these games. It gives the ability for our Patreon supporters to give us a chance to be part of the games that we are playing. We'll be moving on into the next part of the exploration phase, and if you're excited to see that, or of course anything else that Colin and I have coming up next, then I need you to meet me at the table.